Eto na mga boss, kakapasok lang na balita. Grabe si PBBM, tumistigo na. Naiyak si BP Sara. Nagsalita ng prosecutor, i-impeach na sa pwesto si Duterte. Base sa impormasyong kumakalat ngayon sa social media, mismong sa Committee on Justice na pinakita na totoong merong ginawang death threat kay PBBM si BP Sara. Hindi daw ito pwede ipagsawalang bahala. Kumausap siya ng magtutumba sa Pangulo, pwede siyang ipatanggal sa pwesto niya. Pero kumontra na naman ng mga kaalyado niya, nahirapan silang ipagtanggol ang ginawang death threat ni BP Sara sa Pangulo matapos merong umaming totoo ang death threat niya. Kaya eto, sabay-sabay nating panoorin kung paano si President Bongbong Marcos Jr. Grabe, tumistigo na. Naiyak si Vice President BP Sara. Nagsalita ng prosecutor, i-impeach na sa pwesto si Duterte. Pero bago tayo magpatuloy, baka pwedeng i-click nyo muna ang like, share, comment, subscribe at i-hit nyo na rin ang notification bell kung gusto nyo ng mga ganitong klase ng video para laging updated kayo sa mga susunod pa nating ibabalita. Kaya tara, panoorin na natin to.
Hindi na dapat manatili sa posisyon ang ganitong mag-isip. Maraming nakakita. Tayo, nakita natin yung video na yan, lantaran na nagbanta against the President, the First Lady, and the House Speaker. So, malakas po ito, former House Speaker, malakas po itong ground na ito. And I suppose the video is ready to play.
The Secretariat is directed to play the video.
May kinausap na ako na tao. Sinabi ko sa kanya, kapag pinatay ko, tayin mo si BBM, si Lisa Araneta, at si Martin Romales. No joke, no joke. Nagbilin na ako, ma'am. Pag namatay ko, sabi ko, huwag ka tumigil na hanggang hindi mo mag-ala. And then he said yes. Huwag ka mag-alala, ma'am, sa security ko. Kasi may kinausap na ako na tao. Sinabi ko sa kanya, gusto ko, ang galo niya ba? Imagine myself cutting his. Gusto ko, ganun din ang gusto ko gawin doon sa mga katabi ko. So na-realize ko, toxic na ito.
Madam Chair, the complaint alleges that the respondent declared that she had arranged for a person to kill the President, the First Lady, and the Speaker if she herself were killed. The complaint alleges a public statement, but it does not allege the existence of an actual agreement to kill. There is not even an overt act in furtherance of such agreement. Any act constituting conspiracy or any act constituting conspiracy or attempted murder. Kasi yung alleged gunman, hindi man lang natin na-present. Now, let's go to the doctrine of free speech. Which guarantees free speech and free press do not permit a state to forbid or prescribe the advocacy of the use of force or of law violation except where such advocacy is directed to inciting or producing imminent lawless action and is likely to incite or produce such action. Advocacy of violence or law breaking is protected unless it is directed at inciting or producing imminent lawless action and is likely to produce such action. That was stated in Salonga versus Cruz Paño, 134 SCRA 438. Now, kung makikita rin natin doon sa statement ni, doon sa video, and I'm glad that it was flashed on screen, which, kasi, in fact, dapat nga hindi, because it would be premature. As I mentioned, the video is not part of the complaint, but okay lang na ipakita natin dyan because it brings back yung ano natin, yung pag-aalala sa mga yan. The VP said that she hired someone to kill. If she herself was killed, lo and behold, they are both alive. So ibig sabihin, walang overt action which was done. You know, sometimes when I go home late, my wife always threatens to kill me. Sabi sa akin ng asawa ko, papatayin kita na eh. Umaga ka na naman umuwi. And you know, my wife is the queen of our home, ha? And she is highly respected by everyone in our household. But you know, I am still alive, and my wife only kills me with love. Common sense dictates that if you are really serious in killing someone, you do not announce it to the whole world. Why would you announce that you will kill someone if you really intend to kill someone? Common sense dictates otherwise. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair.
Thank you. Honorable
Madam Chair.
Abante.
With due respect to Congressman Suntay, I do not know if he is lawyering with for the Vice President, because I would even think that he is right now defending her. Pero ito you have seen the video. Whether it be that he is joking, that's between her, diba? Thing is this, that amounts to a credible threat against the President, the First Lady, and the Speaker. That is not political noise, just like what he's saying about his wife. What he's saying about his wife is only political noise.
No, but my wife
But
is
that
not a
is not
politician.
political noise, Madam Chair. That is a red flag for national stability and constitutional order. Why? The Vice President is not a private citizen. The wife of Congressman Suntay is a private citizen, but not the Vice President. The office of the Vice President carries access, influence, and security resources. That is why the standard for public trust is higher, not lower. Madam Chair, thank you very much.
Madam Chair.
The Honorable Adjong.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
And then Honorable Degamo.
Very, very short manifestation regarding the video. The whole nation was aware of this video, actually, Madam Chair. It came out during a press conference that the Vice President called for when Attorney Zulaika was in detention in the House of Representatives. My take on that, Madam Chair, is you can argue on whether a crime is being consummated or not, because some say that it has not been fully implemented, and so therefore the crime is not committed itself. To me, Madam Chair, I know how a layman would understand that is, it does not take one particular threat to be consummated, meaning to be implemented, for it to constitute a betrayal of public trust. The mere fact, Madam Chair, that it was uttered by a sitting Vice President to threaten a sitting President and claim that she had contracted an assassin to do her bidding is in itself an impeachable act. It's in itself a betrayal of public trust, Madam Chair. So whether or not it was said in jest, whether or not there was an intention, because it's conditional according to some, whether there was not really an intention, except, for example, that she herself was killed. So that's irrelevant to me, Madam Chair, because the fact that it was said, the threat was said by an official who needs to uphold a high standard of, the demand of her office should be upheld in such a high standard, would to me fall under the category of a betrayal of public trust. That is my humble submission, Madam Chair, on the issue of the video that just flashed, it's played on the monitor, Madam Chair, Your Honors. Thank you. Maraming salamat po.
Thank you, Honorable Adjong. At this juncture, we recognize the Honorable Degamo.
Yes, Madam Chair. I would like to speak from a personal experience. My husband, the late Governor Degamo, before he was murdered. By the way, we will be remembering his 3rd death anniversary tomorrow. That's March 4. He received threats before he was tragically murdered. The threats at first were conditional. Like, if you do this, something will happen. But then, even though they were conditional, the fear and intimidation they caused were very real. Conditional threats can turn into actual harm. Nangyari po yun sa amin. In the same way, when the VP reportedly made statements implying harm to the President, the First Lady, and the former Speaker, those statements are serious, even if phrased as conditional. Kasi words from someone in her position carry weight. It can intimidate other officials, it can influence decision, and even undermine public trust. That is why, in impeachment terms, such conditional threats are considered sufficient in substance. It's not just the wording that matters. It's the effect and potential for harm, especially when the speaker holds high office. Just as in my family's experience, conditional threats really must be taken seriously. Gusto ko lang pong idagdag. The legal connection there talks about a threat does not have to be absolute or immediate to be serious. What matters is its potential impact, especially if the speaker holds power. Conditional threats can intimidate or coerce. Even a statement that starts with "if" can pressure officials or institutions to act a certain way. And high office makes it more serious. Maybe words from ordinary people may be limited in effect, but threats from a person who is holding a national leadership post carry far-reaching consequences. Kaya nga po, public office demands higher standards of behavior. Yun yung nire-require sa atin. Dahil if wrongly handled, and I must admit, my husband must have wrongly handled the situation back then that resulted now to his 3rd year anniversary, still waiting for justice to be served. Yan lang po, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Digamo. Next in line is Madam Endorser. Can we finish first the manifestations of the justice members before we go back to you?
Yes, Madam Chair.
The Honorable Chua.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, let me borrow the words of the late Justice Cruz, Justice Isagani Cruz, when he defined impeachment as a method of national inquest into the conduct of public men. Ang ibig sabihin po nito, ang tinitignan po dito ay yung mga taong nasa taas ng lipunan kung paano nila paglabas ng behavior sa publiko. Ang hinuhusgahan po dito sa impeachment ay yung kanila pong conduct. Obviously, napanood po natin, hindi po ito yung conduct na inaasahan po natin sa isang tao na may pangalawa sa pinakamataas na posisyon sa ating lipunan. Yung video po, ang tinatawag po natin, res ipsa loquitur. The video speaks for itself. Hindi na po natin kailangan magpahaba. Hindi po ito usapin ng kriminal para tignan po natin ang elemento ng threat. Ang tinitignan po dito po sa pinakita sa atin, yung conduct ba na pinakita niya ay binetray niya yung public trust. Ito ba yung conduct na inaasahan natin sa isang tao na mataas ang katungkulan sa lipunan? Pag sinagot po ninyo ko na ito po yung conduct, maaari ko pong sabihin na wala nga po talagang substance. That's all, Madam Chair.
Let us be reminded that in various discussions of impeachment process, we try to determine the fitness of the public official to hold public office. That is for the record. Any other member who wish to manifest? You would like to add, Honorable Digamo.
Yes, Madam Chair. And if I may add, itong grounds po na ito, we are not just dealing here with the VP. No? Ang ibig ko pong sabihin, kahit sino po, pwede naman pong ang source of threat is the President. Source of threat could be the Speaker, directed to the VP, the President, directed to the VP. Pwedeng it could be directed to any other public official. Pero yun po yung nakikita natin na hindi talaga dapat binabaliwala para wag naman pong matulad sa amin. So it's not about personalities. It is about the actuations na ginawa at dapat may managot. Thank you po.
Thank you. Next is the Honorable Vice Chair Dumogan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I don't like to repeat what had already been said, but looking at the allegations in ground number 4, including the video that we had just watched, at this stage of determining sufficiency in form, it has already complied. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Dumogan. We will now go back to the endorser of the impeachment complaint, the Honorable De Lima.
Thank you, Madam Chair. To just be brief, yes, res ipsa loquitur. The video says it all. Res ipsa, the thing speaks for itself. The video itself speaks for what we are alleging as impeachable offenses. No joke, no joke. Then there's no issue anymore as to whether it was meant to be a joke. Because it's the VP herself who says, no joke, no joke. So wala na pong question dyan. Hindi na po natin kailangan i-prove na yun ay joke because it came from her,
That it is not a joke.
from her own language. It's admission against interest. There is also no such thing as conditional threat. A threat is a threat, irrespective of whether or not there is such a condition, katulad nung binanggit ng VP, na kung mamatay daw siya, it doesn't erase the fact that she made a threat. So, there is no such thing as conditional threat. It's also a non-issue. Now, we saw also the video. It has been widely covered even by foreign media. What other country, or is there any other country where we have seen such an incident of the second highest official of the land, a very high official of the land, making such a very open and public and brazen act of threatening the president and the two others? So, malinaw po itong ground na ito. Isa po ito sa tingin ko ang pinaka-malakas na magiging basis ng impeachment. Thank you.
We would like to invite the attention of the members that the fifth ground was drafted to show two specific acts. One is amassing unexplained wealth, and the other is the failure to disclose in SALN. So that is for the guidance of the justice members only. We are concluding our deliberation on the fifth ground of the third impeachment complaint. Now we proceed to the sixth ground of the third impeachment complaint. Please allow the chair to read. Vice President Duterte committed culpable violation of the Constitution and betrayed the public trust in committing acts of political destabilization and the high crimes of sedition and insurrection. Now let's hear the manifestation of the endorser. Honorable De Lima.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So the sixth and the last ground, acts aimed at destabilizing the government and inciting sedition and insurrection. Ang mga allegation po sa complaint, on the face of the complaint, noong January 28, 2024 at March 12, 2024, dumalo si VP Sara sa mga rally sa Davao kung saan kini-question ang legitimacy ng Pangulo at hinikayat umano ang militar na kumilos laban sa kanya. That's paragraphs 110 to 111. Noong July 17, 2024, tinawag niya ang sarili na designated survivor para sa SONA. That's on paragraph 112. At noong August at October 2024 naman, hayagan niyang inatake ang Pangulo at sinabing nais umano niyang pugutan ng ulo ang presidente.
That particular allegation is not sufficient in substance. Now, we go to 114. Ito na. 114, she made pronouncements expressing a desire. Ano yun? 114. I will read to you. Then, on October 18, 2024, VP Sara made public pronouncements showing her desire to decapitate the president. Now, let's go, because it's stated here. Let's go to what is stated. Gusto kong tanggalin yung ulo niya ba? Gusto ko. Desire. A desire. Not a threat. Just a desire. Can we prosecute somebody with desire? Second, I imagine myself. Imagination. Can imagination be a basis for impeachment? You see? And then she continued, hindi marunong maging presidente ang nakaupo. Well, that is her opinion. Are we going to also impeach her because of an opinion? Okay. And lastly, she said, kung presidente niyo siya, okay lang. Tingnan mo, okay lang daw. Ako, hanggang vice president lang ako. Hanggang number 2 lang itong bansa na ito. Ulat itong number 1 para sa akin. So she's not recognized. So, but is this therefore impeachable? Madam Chair, we believe that ground number 6 has no sufficiency in substance to say that she is destabilizing or the government or high crimes. In fact, our president is performing his duty. In fact, the military is not, is destabilizing the president. We are moving forward with President Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos. And so therefore, we do not see any effect of this. Also, Madam Chair, we are therefore saying that number 6 ground should fall. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Honorable Rodriguez. Are you opposing?
If what Congressman po states is accurate, that it has been shown on Facebook, on social media, widely, then there is no need to play it. Mag-aalas 3 na rin po kasi.
Yes, we are
Nagtatanong
almost
pa
done
ako.
with the first impeachment complaint. If the Honorable Suntay is not opposing the video, I think it needs to be shared to the justice members for them to be guided in judging whether or not the requirement of the sufficiency in substance is met. The Honorable Ryan Poe.
Madam Chair, the videos are not being displayed to paint one side or the other, but merely to give context to what is being said here, because these events happened almost 2 years ago. So it's just for us to make an objective assessment on whether or not there's actually substance here.
So for the record, the video will be presented to guide the justice members in our determination of sufficiency in substance with respect to the sixth ground of the third impeachment complaint. Committee Secretariat is directed to play the video.
Madam Chair, I think for purposes of...
The Honorable Rodriguez.
Yeah, thank you. Chronologically presenting it, I think we should get the video first of the January 28, 2024. Is that the request of Congressman Brian?
Honorable
Chair.
po.
Yes, if we could do it chronologically, so that it also makes sense to the members of the committee, starting with January 28, 2024, then next would be March 12, 2024, and then after would be July 17, 2024, and then 18 October 2024. Again, with no predetermination as to whether or not there is sufficiency in substance, but just to give context to the arguments being made today.
All right. The COMSEC is directed to play the video chronologically, beginning with January 24, 2024 video and ending with October 18, 2024. This is a total of 4 videos. Kindly.
Gusto ko, ang galing yung ulo niya ba? Imagined myself cutting his head. Gusto ko, ganun din ang gusto ko gawin doon sa mga katabi ko. So na-realize ko, toxic na ito.
Honorable po.
Madam Chair, so again, since we were able to play these videos, we better understand the context of what had happened, what was said, and it is up to the committee to decide whether or not this is sufficient in substance. We are not debating whether or not there are grounds for impeachment yet. It's more of whether or not there's substance in what was submitted. And what we have is that she did attend those rallies and that she did make these statements. And so with regards to sufficiency and substance, it does seem that these are all included in the impeachment complaint.
Madam Chair?
The Honorable Suntay first, and then the Honorable Rodriguez.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Well, as we could see, based on the videos, lalong-lalo na yung una, statement ni BP Sara doon, patuloy natin mahalin ang ating bayan, which is very telling ang kanyang disposition. Yung mga ibang videos, hindi ko na-explain because I will not be able to explain it anymore because I cannot explain it better than how my esteemed colleague Rufus Rodriguez explained it. Baka masira ko lang yung explanation niya kung tutulungan ko dahil maganda na yung explanation niya. Well, then dadako na lang tayo sa culpable violation of the Constitution. In the context of the Philippine Constitution and the ongoing 2026 impeachment proceedings, this proceeding, culpable violation of the Constitution is a high legal bar. It is not just about breaking the law, it is about a specific guilty breach of the fundamental law of the land. Kung ang pagbabasihan natin, yung mga pinakitang video, I don't think we will see any fundamental breach. The key word here is culpable, which implies a degree of perversity or guilt to commit this offense. The official must have acted with a deliberate intent to disregard the Constitution, which I believe is non-existing. Kung dadako naman tayo sa sedition at sasabihin natin, hindi. Seditious yung mga ginawa, kahit na nakita naman natin na hindi. Ang mahalagang tanong sa batas ay hindi lang kung nagpunta sa rally, nanood, o may nasabi ang isang opisyal. Ang importante ay kung may aktual na ginawa o inutusan na illegal na gawain. Kung ang allegation ay nakabase lamang sa mga speech, sa rally at mga statements, political rhetoric, I don't think that it is seditious. Alam ng mga kaibigan natin sa Makabayan yan, madalas silang mag-attend ng rally eh. Pero kung salita lang at wala naman silang gagawing aktwal, then that is covered by their freedom of speech and is not seditious. Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Thank you. At this point, we recognize the Honorable Rodriguez.
We thank the Honorable Brian Poe because it's clearer now, based on the footage, that the Vice President did not in any way call to arms our people to rise against the government. On the contrary, love our country. Because sedition, Madam Chair, as stated here under this particular ground that the Vice President committed sedition. Sedition is committed, Madam Chair, by inciting through speech. No, we never heard any speech there. Writing or action, revolt or insurrection against established government authority, nothing. So therefore, the first allegation that the Vice President destabilized the government has incited sedition is not, or insurrection, because in that rally, even the President, former President Duterte was just saying, do not do all these things. Do not spend this or that on, don't do these things. And very clearly, VP Sara did not speak there. So that's the first one. So therefore, how can there be an action for sedition? Next, Sara took part in the prayer. Yes, she was seen there in the prayer with Kibuloy, but she did not issue malicious statements to malign the legitimacy of the President. Nothing in that particular Section 11, Section 111. Third, designated survivor. That is precisely in the American law and made into a movie. Ayun. So that is something that is not a basis for impeachment. And then itong fourth, apologize to the members of the Kibuloy Church. Well, she can say that kasi may political riff na nga eh. That she therefore for campaigning and running with the President. That is her opinion after the falling out. And lastly, yung sinabi doon niya sa interview, well, this is, coming out from political noise and political passion na gusto kong tanggalin, desire, and then I imagine myself imagining. So all of these are all on desire and imaginations. Nothing actual, nothing that is clearly impeachable. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Rodriguez.
Ngayon, kayo bilang Pilipino, ano ang masasabi nyo at reaksyon sa balitang ito? Mag-iwan kayo ng komento sa ibaba at atin niyang babasahin isa-isa.